Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luke Mercier. I'm the CAO for Yellowhead County. To my right is Mayor Wade Williams for Yellowhead County. To my left is Christine Beveridge, CAO for the town of Edson. And to her left is Mayor Kevin Zahara from the town of Edson. Are we okay, Stefan? Yeah. Thank you again for reaching out and listening to us this afternoon. Our attempt at this point is to give residents an update of the fire situation in Yellowhead County and the town of Edson. Our fire situation is, as we've mentioned maybe 5-6 weeks ago, not something that we're just going to hold back any information or any punches, so to speak. Our intent is to give you the real information as to where things are at so that we can all work together collectively to make the best of a very severe and bad situation. As we've discussed in the past, this is a disaster. We have in Yellowhead County numerous fires burning. We have some evacuation zones, and we're going to just give a little bit of an expansion as to what happened yesterday with the fires so that people can have a better grasp on where we're at and what we're asking. We, first of all, at Yellowhead County have a fire in north of Piers, Shining Bank area. I know I'm changing some of the names in these discussions. I'm just trying to focus on where the priority areas are. So we are not going to focus on the Wildfire fire or the Wildwood fires at this point because they are somewhat not as big of a concern. In the Shining Bank and Piers area, however, we have a fire that was flaring up quite drastically yesterday. As the residents would know, there was large plumes of smoke. That fire did move quite a bit in the afternoon to the northwest and ended up jumping East Bank Road as well as the McLeod River. Our crews, however, with help with Alberta Forestry and our fire departments, were able to put that fire out west of the river, so that is a good sign. We anticipate that fire will pick up again, and it's picking up now into the afternoon with the winds again from the southeast, so that will be something that we're still monitoring closely. We are asking our residents to be vigilant, as if this fire does crown like it did yesterday, it could cause significant issues for egress as well as for the safety of our people. Again, just a reminder that is in an evacuation zone. Fire number 31, which is the fire south of Nojack, Carrot Creek, Edson, Knighton Junction, Marlborough now, and east of Robb is a fire that's about 130,000 hectares in size. It has grown drastically yesterday. There are 3 specific fingers that have spurred off the main trunk of the fire yesterday. We started off yesterday with the fire approximately 18 kilometers south of Edson, approximately 19 kilometers south of the Highway 16 interchange with Highway 32. Those fingers have all moved quite drastically. There was one east of Robb, so to be clear, Robb is not in any immediate danger, but the power is out in the hamlet of Robb because the power lines have been compromised. The finger that came from east of Robb, approximately 13-14 kilometers east, did turn northwest, and that fire traveled in excess of 30 kilometers yesterday. It crossed Highway 47 just north of the Fickle Lake turnoff, continued on its path, and it's approximately 3 kilometers-ish south of Marlborough at this point in time. The second finger of the fire, and Christine will expand on this in a minute, is approximately 1.5 kilometers south of Edson at this point. It did cross into Wilmar Park, did some damage there. Our crews were able to minimize the damage to the fire north of there and have stopped it late last night, early this morning. So it's still burning and there's fire crews working on that. The finger to the east, which is straight south of the Highway 32 interchange, has moved north quite a bit. I think it's about maybe 5 kilometers south of Highway 16 at the most at this point. These fingers are all causing us a significant amount of concern. Our request is that our residents abide by the evacuation order, as this is not a test. This is real life. The winds are projected to change direction this evening. Instead of from the southeast, they will come from the south, which will push the fire directly north. From there, the winds are projected to come from the west and push the fire east. So it's going to make a big circle, and if you take that into consideration. It means the fires are going to kind of wrap around themselves, and our residents and areas that we have in the evacuation zone are all in danger at this point. We need to make sure that our residents are kept out for the safety, the personal safety of them. I'll turn it over to Christine here so she can give a little bit more detail on the Edson area.
Thank you, Luke. So as Luke mentioned, the extreme fire behavior that we're seeing is unprecedented. Our officials are telling us that this is not something they've seen before. We have a situation where the drought has caused this situation where it's grown faster and stronger than they've ever seen. So the importance of residents that are still in the town of Edson, I'm very aware that there are still residents here. We need to ask you to leave. I will be going through some information with regards to busing to help you leave in a minute, but I just want to reiterate that this is the southwest portion right now that is most at risk. But essentially, you know, even if you think you're fine on the east side of the community, you're not, and we need you to exit the community. We understand that this is hard to leave your property, but the reality is that our officials will not be able to help you if this does turn. And we saw some pretty incredible weather here yesterday, and we're anticipating very similar today. That being said, we have structural protection units. We've got a lot of firefighters from different communities here to help us, and it's great, but it's Mother Nature, and this is a disaster. So we need to make sure that they can do the work that they are here to do, rather than trying to help remove residents on a one-on-one basis. So as I mentioned, there's also a power interruption as well. But what I wanted to also really drive home, and there will be full information on this after this interview with regards to busing. So we have busing at Marlborough at 1 p.m. We have busing that will come to Edson and District Leisure Center at 2 p.m. and at 2:30 is in Knighton. So what we're saying, if you cannot get out on your own, please come to these centers, and there will be full information as to where and all of the other information with regards to Knighton and Marlborough, but we need you to get on the bus. I believe that's all I have for an update.
Okay, and so I'd like to let you know that Mayor Zahara and myself were on the phone this morning to Minister Todd Lowen from the forestry. This fire has expanded so much over the past couple of days. This is now what they're calling the #1 concern in Alberta, and that they are pushing every available resource this direction to help us to try and get some of this under control. Last night, that fire over that hit Highway 47 traveled 22 kilometers overnight. That is in excess of 30 in the last 24 hours. That is unbelievable. That is not something that is ever seen. We cannot stress enough, it is time to leave this area, pack up and head out. We have no idea what direction these fires are going to go in or how quickly they're going to travel. We are just very concerned for everybody's safety. We need you to pack up and get out of the area while you still can. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Zahara.
Thank you, Mayor Williams. I can't reiterate enough the importance of now leaving our community if you are still here. The changing conditions this afternoon, it's going to warm up, the humidity is going to drop, we're going to have crossover, and then we have potential cold front coming in. This is going to be a very dire situation. We've always said we're going to be honest about what's going on. This is not good, and this fire is a beast. And so with even all the resources that we have here currently and the ones that are arriving, Minister Lowen said from Lac La Biche that are on their way, it's still not going to be enough to deal with what is going to potentially occur here later today. Our crews have been doing a wonderful job. We have fire departments right across the province here supporting us, and international firefighters, cats everywhere. As you heard, Wilmore Park was hit last night. I'm sure you've seen all the videos and the pictures. We have lost the overflow campground at Wilmore, and fire guards are being put into place in that location. So please leave this community immediately, and it's not only because of the fire, but because the highways may be closed at a future point here later today because of the changing conditions. As Luc Mercier pointed out, there's a fire just south of the intersection of Highway 32 and 16, and this thing is huge, it's wide, so please adhere to the evacuation order and attend those evacuation centers or those centers where you can catch the buses. That information will be coming out here very shortly. And finally, just make sure you look out for one another. We will keep you updated as much as we can. We understand people are concerned. There's lots of anxiety, and this situation is dire. Don't expect to be coming back to our community in the next day or two. This is going to be a long haul. I think we're probably looking for a number of days. I don't know if Luke or Christine, you want to speak to that a little bit.
We anticipate, just before we get to the questions and answers here, that this evacuation notice will be in place until at least Wednesday of next week. We will keep everyone apprised as best we can, but again, this is a very dire situation. Our first priority is to protect life and limb, and thus the requirement for the evacuation. Our attempt is to let you know that it's not just a 1 or 2 night, to allow people to make plans. In addition to that, before we get to the questions and answers, we will have another update tonight at 7 p.m. on Facebook, and I think this is on YouTube also, but on Facebook Live, to give people an update. So with that said, unless there's any other comments, we'd like to turn it over to the questions and answers if we could.
We have one question. Well, actually, we have a couple. Both of them are wanting to know the distance of the fire from Edson and the approximate size of the fire.
The overall Fire 31 south of Edson is approximately 130,000 hectares. It has come up from the Brazeau Dam area. There's a few fires that have joined together. It is a massive fire, and it has traveled that distance in the past, I'm going to say 5 to 6 weeks, or 6 weeks. It's moved a lot in the past day, and that is our biggest concern. It is approximately 1.5 kilometers south of the southwest boundary of Edson at this point.
Okay, they also want clarification of the Wednesday that you mentioned.
There's a request for clarification on what Wednesday, kind of means. We're giving you the best estimate that we can at this point in time for evacuation. The evacuation order was put on last night at 6 o'clock. We anticipate it will stay in force for the areas of Yellowhead County as well as the town of Edson until at least Wednesday of next week because of the severity of the situation.
And that is our best estimate. This is a changing situation, and it's all going to be dependent on the weather conditions and what happens. But we want to give people much advance notice so you can make arrangements as you can. We don't want people thinking they can come back tomorrow, because that's just not a reality at this point in time.
There's also a question if Rob will be evacuating in the near future.
The question was, will Rob be evacuating in the near future? At this point, we're monitoring the situation closely. The winds have pushed the fire away from Rob, so at this point in time, there is no anticipated evacuation. The power, however, is out in Rob. Crews are working to rectify that, but we don't have anticipated time for that to happen at this point in time. So Rob is not being evacuated at this point. I will tell you that egress or access out north through Highway 47 is not there. Highway 47 is closed as the fire has severely compromised that road at this point in time. If evacuation is needed for Rob, we will keep you up to date. There will be staff and resources allocated to the community to ensure that everyone is notified directly, and we will have the emergency alert go out. But at this point, that is not anticipated based on the current fire behavior. As I mentioned earlier, and just to give some information, I'm not exactly sure of the exact distance, but it's in excess of 12 to 14 kilometers east of Rob at this point and heading northwest. So the answer is no, Rob is not being evacuated in the near future, is our best estimate right now.
We're also getting several questions regarding medications, specific busing information, that type of thing. If they want to call that number.
The question is there information, or they want information on where to get medications or busing? If you could call 1-833-334-4632, 4630, that will be the number to call. Our staff will be able to aid you from there.
And that's for both the town and the county.
Just clarification again on the Wednesday. That is this Wednesday, whatever that date is.
So just to clarify, Wednesday is just an estimate at this point. This upcoming Wednesday. However, it may be extended past that point. It's all dependent on the situation and how things evolve.
I think it's really important to understand that this is a very fluid situation. Typically when we evacuate, it's often, we have you prepare for 72 hours. We're telling you that it's probably going to be more than that. So please make arrangements to be wherever you are for longer term than what you would normally anticipate in a quick evacuation.
I have a couple questions here as well. Is the power and gas out in Edson, and are they monitoring for looters in town?
Okay, first redo the question.
Okay, so the question is, do we have power and gas in Edson? And questions about looting within the town of Edson. So currently, we do have power and gas to the town of Edson within our borders. We have not been compromised at this point in time, but of course that can change. In terms of looting and people that might be up to no good, we do have police here that are monitoring that situation, but our main focus right now is protecting lives. So please, if you have not left, please do so. We certainly understand people's anxiety when it comes to their properties and having it secure. There's lots of firefighters around, there's a lot of police around, there's and other officials, including town employees and monitoring infrastructure. So, you know, all that stuff is being monitored as best as we can. If you want further information on the fires or anything regarding this emergency, please continue to go to our websites, Yellowhead County website, the Town of Edson website for fire information, as well as follow Alberta Wildfire and 511alberta.ca for road closures and the Alberta Emergency Alert. We'll keep you updated through those channels.
Just a reminder while we wait for the next question for evacuees. Traditionally, the province puts out a disaster recovery program, and traditionally that program will help offset evacuation costs for residents. So please keep your receipts, your different costs, and we will have to flush those details out in the coming months as we go. We just don't have capacity to deal with that in the short term, but please keep your receipts, and there should be some help with those costs in the near future.
The people that have livestock north of Edson, will you allow them access to check and feed their livestock?
The question is, if there are residents who have livestock north of Edson or in the evacuation zone, will they be allowed access? If they could call our 1-833 number again, our staff will help you there. What we did 6 weeks ago in the Wildwood area is we issued permits to allow people to come in to deal with the animals as they went through, and it worked fairly well. So anticipate that we will have that program in place again. Please call the 1-833 number and our staff will help you out.
Registration as well.
For registration, I guess too, for all evacuees, if you could register using that 1-833 number again to allow our staff to know where you are and give you updated information as things arise, and to ensure that we can keep track of all of our, residents so that we can help out if needed.
Yeah, if they want to watch it again after. we'll have it available to watch after.
So just one quick update before we maybe close this session is that it will still be available after we're done here live for people to rewatch again. If you want additional information, if that is not sufficient, please call the 1-833 number and our staff will be able to help out as best we can to give you the information you need. Just a reminder before we close, we will be back at 7 o'clock tonight to give another update as to where things sit as best as we can at that point in time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
you.